Hi, welcome back to Forward Cycling in Southampton. This is part 3 of our video series of the build of the competition bike. So this is build 52 and this is the Forwards X gravel bike with the custom Handmade Cyclist paint job. I'll just give you a quick tour around of the frame. So you can see there 52 King Alfred's Way 1. And it's designed by Neil at Handmade Cyclist, the paintwork is. So with this build video, I'm just going to do a bit of the build and then stop and then just do a quick update on the video to show you what I've done. So far we have just mounted it into the stand so we can get the build underway. So I've put the seat post in, and the seat post clamp obviously to hold that. Seat post clamp we've just greased and then used the muck-off carbon compound in there to help grip that in there. So that's been done. And then, as I said on the introduction video about the shield, so we've got shield down here and then an extension shield at the back, and then we've got the shield on the back of the caliper mounts there as well. So that's where we're at so far. I will see you in a bit. Okay, just bringing you back up to speed with the build so far. I've now fitted all of the black stainless steel bolts. So we've got the 2 bolts at the top, 2 bolts for the front bottle cage, rear bottle cage. Obviously we've got our spring washers there as well, and you can probably tell that it's all got the black stainless steel option on the build, which we thought would match best. So bolts on the bottom there, and we've mounted the front mech hanger with some stainless steel bolts, and we've put some blue Loctite on that to prevent that from coming undone. Blanked off the Di2 port for the front mech. We will use the rear cable guide there. That'll be where the cable actually will pop out. I'll pop a bolt in there in a second. We've got the rear seat stay bolts there as well. Dropouts mounted, and that's got Loctite on the rear dropout. And we've got some bolts underneath the frame there as well. So that brings us up to speed. So next up, we're going to be just facing the rear brake caliper mounts, and then we're going to face the front caliper mounts on the forks there, and then we've also done the black stainless steel bolts on that as well. It's worth noting we go I just run through all of the threads with a tap just to clean the threads, make sure there's no paint or anything inside those. That's all been done as well. Okay, so I will leave you for now, and then I'll see you after those calipers are all faced up. Okay, welcome back to the build. I've just finished facing the rear caliper mounts, so those are done. So we're just having some problems with the camera then focusing, so just thought I'd cut in here. So this is the front brake mounts all faced off, so they're done, ready to put the forks on. I'll put the brake on, should I say, and then the rear ones there are all done as well. Okay, so I will see you after the next phase. Okay, so we moved ahead on the build. We've done quite a few bits in this stage, and it's all about getting cables and items routed through the frame before we put the bottom bracket in. So our sort of first goal is to get that bottom bracket in there in its final position with the cranks, and then we can get the forks on and then start cutting the steerer down, because obviously we'll need to dismantle that. So that's why we're putting all these frame fixtures and pieces in, and they have to go in a certain order. So from the last bit you just seen, we've put the rear brake caliper on and then routed the hose through the frame, and then we've used some anti-rattle inside the frame. So the anti-rattle is this. So this is the Capco stuff, and we've put that in there, and that's got a 50mm length inside that side of the frame for the brake hose. Then we've put the gear cables through. This is the SP41 SIS gear outer, and then what we do is we run that all the way through the frame, so that goes directly through without any cable stops. And then we've got some anti-rattle on that as well, and then we've done some custom ports for taking the hose or the brake cable, should I say, or gear cable, should I say, in and out of the frame. So there's a custom one there, and then we've done the same for the front mech. And we do also do a direct cable route for the front mech as well, because it keeps it all sealed. Rear mech's been fitted, and that's just so we can get the length correct. Excuse my finger, get the length correct there for the outer. So we've popped that on there as well. And then we're running the cables and hoses reverse. So these are going to run opposites on the front here, and that's going to stop it rubbing on the head tube, the cables rubbing. So that's how we've done the routing. And this port here, this exit port, is a dual. So this one has openings for 2 cables to go through, and then this one on this side is a single opening there. And I think that's everything on that part. So we'll move on with the build and then show you the next stage. Okay, next up we have assembled the headset. This is only a temporary fitting. As you can see, we've got quite a lot of steerer tube to take off there. It gives us a good idea of how that fork's going to look attached with the paintwork, which is looking awesome. So we've done this because we're going to pop the bike into the jig in a second to work out the fit for the customer and then cut that steerer down. So next up we're just going to pop that bottom bracket in and then the cranks on, so we can get that marker for the machine to do the bike fit. Okay, so we've got the bottom bracket fitted in now. Just wanted to stop and show you that because I do like these bottom brackets, and just it's good to see how nice the interface is there with the masking and that. So that's the bottom bracket. So it's Praxis Works, as we've said already, with the ABEC 3. And any keen eye viewers that noticed that I hadn't put that bolt in, the bolt's in there now. So that's the just finishes those off the stainless steel bolt. Reason I put all the bolts in everywhere, so in all the holes, is just to stop any contamination. So if I had left any of these empty, then you'd get obviously mud and dirt into the frame, and then also it'll potentially damage the threads in there. So that's why I do that. Okay, so let's get the cranks on. I'll probably pop the front mech on as well, and then I'll show you the next bit. Hi, just cutting back into the video quickly just to show you this phase. This is the bottom bracket bearing press, and then we just like to double check the alignment of the bearings with this after we fitted the bottom bracket. So although it's a brand new bottom bracket, we have found in the past that the bearings haven't been pressed into the shell square. So we just do this little bit just to check that that's okay. So that's done, and I wanted to show you that as well. So back to the bottom bracket area, we've now fitted the chain set and the left-hand crank arm. That's all torqued up, just for anyone who's really geeky into numbers and that. So we've done the bottom bracket to 40 Newton meters, and we've done the crank arm to 14 Newton meters, and that's going backwards and forwards between the 2 bolts. Don't just do one in one go. So that's that. And then the preload tension is just hand tight with the small Shimano tool. Front mech's been fitted and then aligned with the aligner on the side there, and the front bolt's been torqued, and then we've also tightened the alignment on the back there as well, so the mech is in line with the outer chain ring. And then we've also put the outer cable all the way up into the back of the mechanism there as well, so you should be able to see that. That'll pull tight into the space afterwards. Okay, so let's move on to the next phase. Okay, so it's starting to look a little bit more like a bike now. Just about to get it out of the rack and then pop it into the stand. We've now fitted the front caliper as well. Just wanted to cover that off and show you that. So caliper's all mounted. We've obviously got the wheels on because you need to use those when we put it into the XY laser machine, which will be what you see in just a second. Okay, so that is all of the numbers onto the bike. It's quite difficult to show you the setup because of the wide angle lens in this small space here. You can probably get an idea from looking at it that the customers, well, the sort of customers sort of dimensions. So the saddle's obviously a little bit lower than you would normally have for this size frame, but then we've got a good size stem on there, and I've gone down a stem size and also raised up slightly with an extra spacer in there, and that's because the default setting for our gravel bike setup is a sport setting, and this customer's new to gravel, so he wants to have it a bit more relaxed. So we've set the saddle height according to the bike fit, and then we have reduced the stem by 10 mil. So we put a slightly shorter stem on there, so that's a 100 mil stem, and then we've put a 15 mil spacer underneath there, and then we'll do our normal top spacer at 10 mil as well, and then I've just marked it there because we're about to cut that down. Then it does allow us, if the customer gets a bit more into it and wants to get a bit more racy, we can just put a longer stem on and then lower the front end down. Of course, if I'd gone too far and cut it down too far, I can't do anything about putting the stem back on or the steerer back on, so that's why I prefer to do it that way. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of the fit as it is. So I need to chop the steerer down, and then the next time you'll see it, it should be back in the stand so we can get the final bits done. Okay, so hopefully that worked out and I've done some time lapse in the video. I just want to bring you up to date with where we're at now and after watching a couple of those time lapse. So we've done the bike setup on the bike, that's done now. Bike's back in the stand, we've taken the forks out, and then those forks have been trimmed down. And then, as I said in the setup video, we've played safe with a 15mm spacer underneath and a 10mm chimney on the top, which is our signature. We normally do that anyway. And then we got that little JRC top cap on there as well. So we've put the like silicone compound in here to stop any creaking. We'll wipe this and clear this up in a minute afterwards. So that's all of that done. These are still to be aligned and torqued up, but that's just pinched in place. So next up, we're going to pop the wheel back in, and then I think I'm then going to start putting the cables on and getting the brake hoses and that connected as well. So okay, so we have accelerated ahead quite a bit now. The bike's basically finished, other than some bar tape and stuff. So since the last cut in on the video, what have we done? So we've put all the brakes are done. So the brake hoses have been cut to length, and the brakes have all been bled. They've all been aligned, so there's no rubbing or anything on there. Gear cables have all been cut to length. Inner cables have all been done, and we've also tuned all the gears. So that's all sorted to get the light on there as well. So that's all that done. Bar tape wise is what we've got to do next, and then you'll be able to see here, this is actually how we just attach the cable underneath. It's a fairly standard sort of thing that people do, but we get a bit geeky and measure this out. So we've got 60mm and then 50mm between the spaces there for the under tape, and then this is what holds all our tape in nicely on the front, so we'll be able to wrap that in a minute. And then, as I said, I've gone either side with the cables and hoses so they don't rub against the head tube there. So that's how we've done that. Obviously cabling could be tidier if we had a Di2 install, but with the external cables, this is what we've got. So we've got the dual cable going around to one side, and then the single cable there, and then the hose going into the fork. So that's that. I think that's everything I've just done since I did the video a second ago. So I've basically got bar tape to do and then give it a quick polish, and then I've just had a message from Neil. He wants to sneak down and have a look-see. So better get the bar tape done. So let's do that, and then we'll come back and see what it's like at the end of that.